All eyes are focused on this man, and for good reason. Jagmohan was sent as governor of Jammu and Kashmir in January. He was seen as the Prime Minister's counter-missile in a rapidly exploding situation. Jagmohan is a good marksman, shooting straight from the hip, clear about his goal, which is to save Kashmir. Can he do it? We focus on the man who today faces probably the most difficult job. Manoj Raghuvanshi met Governor Jagmohan on his tough and lonely beat.
In July last year, we brought the seriousness of the Kashmir problem to our viewers. We had terrorists speak of their secessionist demands, as well as the general population's mood of the time. In the January cassette, we focused again on the Kashmir problem when the Union Home Minister's daughter, Rubia Syed, was kidnapped. At that point, the situation reached a crisis level. That was in December. The events since then have made it into an explosive situation. Violence has escalated at an alarming rate. Over 100 bomb blasts have destroyed a great deal of government property. Cross-firing between militants and the security forces has become an integral part of life in Kashmir. More than 100 people have been killed on both sides in firings by the militants and the security forces. On the eve of the Republic Day, 4 unarmed Indian Air Force men were gunned down by the militants. On the 8th of February, the terrorists killed 2 unarmed BSF men. Their fault: they were faithfully serving India. On the 13th of February, the militants shot dead Lasa Kaul, director of the Srinagar Doordarshan Kendra. His fault: he did not stop the telecast of network television programs, which, for some reason, the militants considered un-Islamic. Intelligence reports began coming in around December. They said terrorist groups supported by a large mass of Kashmiri Muslims would declare Kashmir an independent Islamic republic on the 26th of January. The centre moved swiftly. Jagmohan was rushed to Kashmir on the 19th, 1 week before D-Day.
I found a snake pit of chaos and confusion. I also found the total collapse of the administrative machinery, sway of the cult of gun, and there were thousands and thousands of pigeons, frightened pigeons, in the cage of terrorism. In spite of the fact that a number of police officers and intelligence officers had been killed, no investigating machinery worth the name had been set up. It was very routine investigation. Even photographs of the listed terrorists were not available in the police stations. The police control rooms were in shambles, and the list of absconders is not there. And normal procedure of the law is that when a person absconds, you should attach his property. This aspect was also neglected. So there was no pressure on the terrorists and the subversionists. Even the roadblocks were not there. The drop gates were not there. The wireless system was also not functioning as it should. And the areas which were disturbed and far away were also not being properly looked into. For example, like areas like Baramulla and Anantnag. Searches were not being planned properly. Whenever any search took place, that was not planned properly. There was no information system which was functioning. Intelligence agencies had virtually dried up.
A Punjabi from Gujranwala, Jagmohan began his career as a provincial civil service officer in Amritsar 38 years ago. Despite the fact that Jagmohan was once fiercely loyal to Indira Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi, Prime Minister VP Singh did choose him for the job, for Jagmohan's ability to deliver had been tested in his 2 terms as the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi and 1 as the Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. It is not the Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan won by Jagmohan that speak so well of the man as the fact that he maintained a high degree of professionalism even during a punishment posting as the Governor of Goa. Although Jagmohan was popular during his first tenure as the Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, things are not the same now in the Kashmir Valley. At that time, he only had to carry out development work. Now, he also has to assert the authority of the state.
Didn't you see the gathering storm when you were governor here earlier?
Yes, I had given my assessment to the central government at that time, And I was of the view that timely action need to be taken. I had even mentioned that today may be timely, tomorrow may be too late. And but tomorrow even became day after tomorrow, and still a day after that also.
So it is much later than it should have
So
been.
the storm has burst on the scene. But we are now here to see how it can be contained and how the normal weather can come again.
But is it too late?
No, it is not too late. As I have said that it's difficult, grim and grave, but not irremediable.
Unfortunately, in our country, we have a philosophy of life to wait for the inevitable to happen. You see, what is important is to foresee, meet the situation halfway, then you are not in a disadvantage. We are in disadvantage today primarily because of that, and I am afraid even today we are not taking it as seriously as we should, either as a nation or as a government.
Although Jagmohan meets more than 100 people a day like he used to before, listening to their grievances and acting upon their complaints or demands immediately, is it balm enough to cure the problem that has already become chronic?
Well, it is, you cannot expect miracles in a short time. As I said that the infection has gone so deep into the vital organs of the body that it will take some time to exterminate that infection. I mean, the disease has become chronic, and if we had taken timely action earlier, things would not have come to such a pass.
Kashmiris were always known to be peace-loving people, but now the militants are disproving that cliché. The death toll has risen in the valley, and it is not just Islamic fundamentalism that has been made the vehicle of secessionism. It is militant fundamentalism, imported from Iran and Afghanistan and sponsored by Pakistan.
If the social order is weak, fundamentalism will get strength. Now, for instance, if you keep a large number of people as illiterate, they will not be able to understand the rationality of the faith, they will not be able to understand the higher aspect of religion, and they can be easily exploited. So the correct approach to solve this problem is to give them education, to make them more enlightened, to make them more rational in their approach and more humanistic in their approach.
It is obvious that there is widespread alienation of the Muslims in the valley. No matter how tough Jagmohan is, no matter how clever or gentle, the cold fact is that the main issue, that is plebiscite, is now beyond treatment by mere administrative measures spiced with platitudes.
After all, the problem of the demand for separation has been existing for the last 4 decades. But suddenly it reached such a pitch that the government machinery had collapsed and virtually half the government machinery had gone over to the other side. Why did it become so bad?
So, because as I said, the iron bars of the cage of terrorism, they got strengthened because of carelessness and indifference. And since proper action was not taken, the other side got an upper hand, and more people went to the other side.
Why don't we accept the hard fact straight away that are better professional than we are? They're better trained, more committed, better equipped than we are.
Then why can't the Jammu and Kashmir police be trained and equipped the same way?
It can be. I think we have an excellent human material. It's up to the powers that be to ensure that. Somebody has failed in his duty over the years.
In the strife-torn atmosphere in which democratic forces have been virtually driven underground, most of the people obey the dictates of the militants, many out of fear and many out of genuine devotion to the cause. Despite Jagmohan's determination to beat the militants in the battle, it would be wrong to presume that most of the militants are on the run. There are enough hardcore militants who are staying put in the valley, implementing subversive designs.
Pressure is on them, and we are getting more and more information, and the net is getting closer and closer, and we are quite sure that we will succeed.
Do you think the problem can ever be solved completely?
Yes, why not?
By when?
Well, in these human affairs, you can't fix targets, dates.
But you have an appreciation of the problem. How long do you think it would take?
No. Problems will always remain with the people, with every society. But we will overcome the present difficulties.
He may succeed for some time as far as the repression is concerned. But this thing has caught its root very deep. And I don't think Mr. Jagmohan has the capacity to go down the roots and cut the roots.
One of the most disturbing features of the present situation is the large-scale migration of the Hindus from various parts of the valley like Anantnag, Baramulla and even Srinagar.
हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? जहाँ पर 100 में से 5% हमारी आबादी, हम क्या करेंगे?
मुसलमानों के मन में कोई फर्क आया है पहले के मुकाबले में?
जब तक वो तो जो साथ में रहते हैं, जो पुराने बुजुर्ग हैं, वो तो फिर भी उसी हिसाब से चल रहे हैं, लेकिन जो आज की न्यू जनरेशन है, उनकी आंखों में वो शर्म नहीं है कि ये हिंदू भी हमारे बहन भाई हैं या कुछ है। तो ये तो 86 में हो चुका है।
Not only minorities, but every component of power structure has been affected by this terrorism. People have been giving wrong news. People have been, the officers have been frightened. Even the lower order police officers have also been frightened. So the fear psychosis has gone into every sphere of government activity. It has gone into various other aspects. So the fear has to be removed not only from the minorities but from many other areas.
No, Jagmohan cannot solve the problem. He has rather aggravated things there. He is sadly mistaken. He thought it is 1986. Those days are gone. It's a new Kashmir. The entire youth population is demanding liberation from India.
The government has neither been able to arrest the 5 militants who had been released in exchange for Rubia Sayyed, nor people like Sayyid Abdullah Shirazi, the Imam of Gao Kadal Mosque, who openly support militant fundamentalism. The militants, who were earlier concentrated in the urban areas, are now beginning to spread to the countryside. They have vitiated every aspect of life.
So far as the economy is concerned, it is shattered, and it is one of my aim is to put it back on the rail.
What measures are you taking?
A large number of measures are being taken. For example, so far as the employment is concerned, we have already given an invitation, sort of advertisement, to recruit 5,000 people in the BSF and 2,000 in the ancillary posts, 3,000 teachers, and like this many other posts are being created. And then, wasteful expenditure is being eliminated, and we are going to spend a lot of money on positive development, and this will yield results, I'm sure.
It is difficult to imagine that Jagmohan would now be able to completely reverse the sway of the fundamentalists and get the bars, liquor shops, cinema halls, beauty parlors and video libraries opened once again.
If we are able to bring the normalcy, then all these things can be taken care of. After all, even if you provide bars, but if the atmosphere is terror-stricken, then no tourists even then will come. So our idea is to have an all-round improvement of this situation, and the situation would improve, I have no doubt about it.
By when?
About the time you cannot, it depends upon the response.
The response of the people now ranges from one extreme to the other. In the valley, the people say one thing, outside the valley, just another.
जगमोहन जो है, इसको यहाँ से फौरी निकालिए। क्यों? ऐसा क्यों? ऐसा इसलिए कि इसने बहुत यहाँ पर दंगा फंसा है। बहुत जुल्म सितम किया है। कत्लेआम यहाँ पर कत्लेआम हो रहा है। एक बात है, इस पर कोई एक्शन नहीं लेता है। आप देखिए, क्या है कि यहाँ बहुत खून बहाया है। कत्लेआम हो रहा है। कत्लेआम हो गया है। हमारे बहनों को इज्जत लूट गया है। जो ऐसे इतनी गोलियां चलाई हैं, इतनी गोली चाहिए पूछे जुम्मा के रोज नमाज पढ़ेगी ना।
जो काम मिलिटेंट्स करते हैं, बॉम्ब एक्सप्लोजन करते हैं, गोली चलाते हैं, वो सही करते हैं क्या?
सही करते हैं।
जो ऐसी ताकतें वहां बैठ करके इसको अलग करवाने के अंदर, मतलब देश के विद्रोह के अंदर खड़ी हुई हैं, मैं तो समझता हूं उनको वैसे ही ट्रीट किया जाना चाहिए जैसे बॉर्डर के ऊपर दो फौजें आपस के अंदर लड़ती हैं और इस बात का समाधान होता है कि कौन सा इलाका हिंदुस्तान का और कौन सा पाकिस्तान का और उनमें कौन कौन से लोग मरने वाले हैं, वैसे ही उनको ट्रीट किया जाना चाहिए.
So far as I am concerned, I always believe in doing the right thing, whether it bring you popularity or unpopularity. I will do the correct thing even if I am the minority of one.
Jagmohan is no spring chicken in situations of crisis. He was tough about not allowing the foreign press into Kashmir when the crisis was at its peak. Even the Indian press was carefully controlled.
The position with regard to foreign correspondents is entirely different. They here came to see something which was not allowed to stage. And I would only say that there is a couplet of Ghalib which say, सुना था कि आज गालिब के उड़ेंगे पर्दे देखने हम भी गए थे तमाशा ना हुआ. It is only that tamasha we did not allow to be staged for them, and that they feel aggrieved, and we have, it is not a question of freedom of press that was involved. It was a question of security of the state, it was a question of law and order, it was a question of many other aspects.
I have gathered that the tamasha you are talking about is that on the 26th of January, there was a plan to declare this an Islamic
That
Republic.
is for you to assess. You have been here. I would not like to say anything.
By the time Jagmohan dissolved the J&K Assembly, Farooq Abdullah, who was seen by many as an utter failure as Chief Minister, had resigned and begun to criticize the new dispensation for what he termed as genocide.
You know, when I am calling myself a nursing orderly, people forget that the job of the nursing orderly is to inject also to give bitter medicine when it is needed.
Surprisingly, though there has been a lot of talk about national consensus on the Kashmir problem, nothing concrete has been done in that direction.
It is not only a question of national consensus only. The real question is national will. You know, it is deeds that matter, not the words.
Jagmohan is prompt in granting ex gratia payment ranging up to a couple of lakhs to the families of the security personnel who die doing their duty. Also to the kin of the innocent people who are killed in the climate of rising militancy.
You have a limitation that the governor's rule can be in existence only for 6 months at a time. Do you think you will be able to contain this problem in this?
I do hope to solve the problem to a large extent within this 6 months period, but the position can always be reviewed depending upon the situation as it arises.
Jagmohan's presence in Kashmir has raised a lot of hope, but he seems to be trapped in a no-win situation.
I'm not saying that I have solved the problem or I'm going to solve the problem. All that I'm going to say is that I'll do my best.
Jagmohan's task is quite a riddle. On the one hand, he has to be tough in order to contain violent defiance by the subversives. On the other hand, he has to be gentle in order to calm separatist passions. It requires delicate balancing, sometimes tough, sometimes gentle, sometimes both. How he solves this riddle will, to a great extent, determine the fate of Kashmir. This is Manoj Raghuvanshi reporting from Srinagar for Newstrack.
Manoj, what was the atmosphere like in the streets of Srinagar?
You have a lot of people these days stopping you on the streets and asking you the time. And if you gave them the Indian time, they would make you change it to the Pakistani time, which is half an hour behind ours.
But how is it with the ordinary, the common Kashmiri? I'm not talking about the extremist fringe, but the common man. Is it as bad with him?
There was a time when you could say confidently that a considerable fraction of the Kashmiri Muslims was for accession to India. And a large majority of them were fence-sitters who would go with the winning side. Now the situation has changed. This chunk of fence-sitters has now gone over to the other side, as of now.
But if it really is that bad, do you think that we can pull out of this one?
We have hope in Jagmohan. At least the man is sincere. Unlike what we had earlier, Farooq Abdullah, who was trying to survive on both sides, which has now become evident from the change of tone that he's adopted. In Jagmohan, we have a man who's doing what needs to be done, or perhaps the only thing that can be done.
I guess, Manoj, then we can only pray for Kashmir and be optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you.